Hey guys, welcome to the workshop. In today's video, we're making kitchen cabinet doors. Alright, so you might be thinking, hey, I've already covered that. I've already made a cabinet door before. Well, that cabinet door was not really made like a kitchen cabinet door. It was kind of a quick and simple cabinet door for maybe a workshop or garage. Something that wouldn't get a lot of use because it wasn't built to be very sturdy. So my wife has wanted me to make these cabinet doors for our kitchen to kind of take the old ones away and put these new ones in, and then she's doing a chalk painting technique to give it the distressing look that she really wants. But our cabinet doors we have right now just aren't really suitable for what she wants to do. They're just flat and plain, very dull. So what I'm making is a little bit better. It's going to be a panel on the inside with a nice frame around it. I'm not doing raised panels, so this is going to be a little bit more of a simpler build. So because this is a simple build, I have chosen to use a lot of pre-cut wood that came right from the home center. And so this is a real quick tip that I could give you is that if you're trying to figure out your sizes, really look at the prices of the wood that you're buying. I was going to buy 1x6 boards and then cut them in half to get them to be 2.5-inch boards. I probably would have a little bit of waste as well. But since I'm going 2.5, you buy 1x3, and the funny thing is, you buy two of these at the same length, and you put two of them together, you would essentially have your 1x6. You're actually paying maybe like $3 cheaper to already have it cut here. So my suggestion is, if you're going to do something similar to this, buy some pre-cut stuff. I am actually going to be using some select pine for this, and then for the panel, I'm going to use 1/4-inch plywood to fill in the center. Now you might be thinking, wow, that is very thin, it's not going to last, it's not going to be very durable. Here's the thing, I made the biggest cabinet as an example to my wife, and I put the trim around it, and I used that piece on the inside, and honestly I was completely surprised how strong that panel was. So being that was the biggest panel, it didn't have a lot of flex at all, the rest of them are smaller, it's going to turn out great. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go get some measurements for the next panel that I'm building right now, and I'm going to take you along the process of how I'm doing that one in particular. Okay, so before we go any further, I wanted to explain something to you. When I measured my cabinet door, this is what we have, knob. I measured the height and the width. So for the sake of this, I went 23, and this was 14. So I've already decided I want my side slats here to go completely from the bottom to the top. So we'll draw that on these sides. So obviously you can already tell the board that's going to go across from here is not going to be the width that we measured. You've got to subtract the width of the side panels. So my side panels are 2.5 inches, so they're total 5 inches. So you take the 14, subtract the 5, and then you get your whole 9. And that would be the width you would want to go right here. The problem that you have by doing 9 is then if you're butt gluing them, that would be fine. Problem is you don't want to butt glue end grain to long grain. It will not grab and will not have a good joint. So what we're going to do is cut a dado in this all the way around, centered in the board to receive the panel, and then in the top and the bottom panel they're going to have a little tongue on it that's going to also go into that panel. Now my panel, I'm cutting the dado 1/4 inch deep. So you add the 1/4 inch, and you on both sides, it's going to make this actually be 9.5. So we're going to want to cut this 1/2 inch wider than the width we want to actually be at. And this will all make more sense later in the video. Alright, so my wife decided we didn't want these to be 3/4 inch thick, which is what these boards come as. We wanted to actually make them about 5/8, so just a little bit thinner, because our existing cabinets are already 5/8 of an inch thick. So to cut a 1/4 inch groove in the board, it was really difficult to find your dado set to cut a groove that small without just maybe running a couple passes through the saw. So I did use the thickest blade I have in my dado set and ran it a couple times to get this joint to fit just perfectly. So after doing all of the dados and all of the finger joints that are going to go inside, just did a little sanding. Sometimes use my chisel to make it a little easier to fit these in. So dry fit it and then make sure it's square. So one thing you're going to not see me do in this particular part of building this cabinet door is on the other side I kept the slat in and then I actually taped it in using some masking tape to keep things square and to just hold it in place. I did not want to glue both sides because I've got to slide the panel in. And just checking it once again to make sure things are square. And by putting the large clamp on it, they kind of concave up. So then I took a piece of hardwood, put it on the edge, and then clamped it, and that forces it into being flat and straight. And once again, this is something I ended up doing after I changed the process. I would do this part first, and then I would glue the edge. And so you might want to do that when you're making this cabinet door. Now that measurement you saw is actually the measurement for the panel. I measured the inside from edge to edge and then added 1 or half of an inch. And that's because there's a 1/4 inch of it going in on all 4 sides. Everything fit very nice inside of this cabinet door, so I went ahead, glued it up, and then put clamps and repeated the process with putting a board across it to keep things nice and straight. So this is the next day, everything's dry, and I just wanted to give it a quick chamfer with my little hand plane to kind of knock the edges off. And then afterwards, I just went and took my sander to it to give it a really nice coat and get rid of any excess glue joints and to make everything nice and smooth to receive the paint that my wife was going to do on this. Okay, so that's going to wrap up this video. That's as far as I want to take you in this video because my wife is actually going to continue by doing the painting part of it. But these doors turned out really, really awesome. She's already began doing this side, and you might be looking at that thinking, what in the world is that? But trust me, this is part of a plan that we've got going on, and we need this as our base coat for the painting technique that she's doing. But this is what we did. So things turned out really, really great. The panel inside is extremely strong for just being the 1/4 inch plywood. So, you know, don't second guess yourself when you're using something that thin. It's actually pretty strong. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please, if you do, I really hope you consider subscribing to my channel because I do a lot of this type of thing on this channel. Kind of haven't here lately as much because we've been in that summer phase at trying to wind down outdoor projects. So getting into the autumn and the winter months, you're going to be seeing a lot more of these projects. So please hit subscribe and make sure you hit the little bell icon, because if you don't, you're not going to get every single notification. You might get some, so please hit that so you get every notification of a new video that I put out. But as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.